So today we'll discuss, the lecture is about digestive system. This digestive system, it has two parts. So one is the digestive system proper and accessory organs which are helping in the digestion. Okay. So as you all know the parts of the digestion, it starts from mouth to anal canal. So what are the, so we will study all the parts one by one. So what is there in the mouth? So in the mouth we have teeth, tongue and other parts of the tongues, and there are some glands opens in the mouth. So teeth, we have different types of teeth and permanent teeth, molar, premolar, permanent, and all are these things you will study in your particular dental lectures. Okay. In the tongue, what is tongue? Tongue is the muscular organ and it helps in speech, mastication. Okay, it has ventral and dorsal surface. Yes, speech. And vestibule. So while lies between the cheek externally and teeth, it is the structure between the cheek, the external part of the cheek and the teeth, and the gum internally. So in between the gum. So here we have the vestibule. Then the mouth cavity, or it is also called the oral cavity. Where it is present? It is present between the upper jaw and the lower jaw. The area, this area, the area between the upper jaw and the lower jaw is called the oral cavity, where we are having the different structures, and also there is a opening of salivary glands. And next, the another structure, it is the palate. So what is palate? So it is the hard structure where it forms the roof. It forms the roof of the mouth or the oral cavity. So where it is divided into the hard part, this is the hard part, and the inner, as you go down, where I'm putting the cursor, this is the smooth part. So it has the hard palate and the soft palate. Next, so there are some features about the tongue I will tell. We will not go in detail about the tongue. So because these are some important things you should know: the nerve supply and what are the clinical anomalies. So generally tongue is divided into two parts. One is the anterior, posterior and the base of the tongue. Like three parts: the base or the innermost part of the tongue. This anterior two-third of the, it has general sensation and special sensation. So this special sensation, it is for touch, pain, all those things. So whatever the tongue activities. Okay, the general sensation by lingual nerve and the special sensation by chorda tympani nerve. So here the anterior two-third of the tongue. Next, the posterior one-third of the tongue, it is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. Next, the base of the innermost part of the tongue is supplied by internal laryngeal nerve. So there are so many abnormalities you find in the tongue. They are, so the common one, they are the lacerations. Okay, and then this is the some developmental anomalies. that is tongue tie. So what happens here? The tip of the tongue, see this picture, the tip of the tongue is attached to the base. So this is called, this part is called frenulum. So it is usually sometimes happens during developmentally, it is there. Then what they will do for the trees here, the treatment is they will cut this and make, so they will free the tongue. Okay, you can see in the picture. It is not like that. So this is just a funny picture. So this is called tongue tie, ankyloglossosis, and lesions of hypoglossal nerve. So what happens here? Lesions of the hypoglossal means, so any injury to the hypoglossal nerve leads to this condition. What happens here? The tongue, when you tell the patients to show the tongue will be deviated like this in this picture. If it deviates on the right side, you should think the right side of the hypoglossal nerve is affected or injured. Or sometimes the tongue may be atrophied. Atrophied means the tongue is thick, or sometimes wrinkles. So you can see the wrinkles on the tongue. Okay. So these are some clinical findings. Next is the next part after the oral cavity, after the mouth. Next part is the pharynx. What is pharynx? You see this structure. You see this picture first. So what we studied now? Now we studied about the oral cavity. So where I am putting the cursor. Now after the oral cavity, there is a pharynx. So this is a structure which is present behind all these structures. What they are? It is structure behind the nose, oral cavity, and the larynx. Okay, it is clear? It is the muscular tube. It is the muscular tube lying behind the nose, oral cavity, and the larynx. This part. So where all these pointers, where I am putting the cursor, so that part is the larynx. Okay. From where it extends? Extend means from where the larynx starts. It starts from the base of the skull. This is the base of the skull. So where I am putting the cursor, this part is this is the hard palate. Okay. Sorry, this is the hard palate. So this part is the skull. This is the base of the skull. And at the level of sixth cervical vertebra. And from then on, from then or there, it continues as esophagus. Okay. The anterior wall is defined and shows. So when you see the in the front, so this is the what lower picture, it shows how it is looks in front when you take a section. So they are, so what it contains? It contains posterior nasal aperture. Okay. And then opening of the oral cavity. You can see when you see in the front, there you will see the opening of the oral cavity, and then the laryngeal inlet. See, laryngeal inlet. Inlet means the upper part, the inner the inner part of the larynx. Okay. Next, what are the parts of pharynx? How the pharynx is divided? So now we know that the pharynx is present behind the nasal cavity, oral cavity, and larynx. And then the names are also like that. What are the names? They are nasopharynx. And next, oropharynx and laryngopharynx. So what it means? It is the nasopharynx means it is the superior part. It is the superior part. Where it is present? It is present behind the nose. It is the superior part behind the nose. And then how it communicates? Communicates with the nasal cavity through posterior nasal aperture. So how it communicates with the nasal cavity? It communicates with posterior nasal aperture. So what are all the things we find? One is the Eustachian tube. Eustachian tube or auditory tube. Anyone knows this? What do you mean by auditory tube? Anyone knows what is the meaning of auditory tube? Anyone knows about auditory tube? No. Okay. So auditory tube. So all of you just see, just check your ears. So there is an opening. There is an opening in your ear. So that opening is called a auditory tube. The opening, what you are seeing, it is the external auditory opening. So this opening, so where it opens from outside to inside, it has a communication here in the nasal cavity. Here, this part. Have you got it? There is an opening. The auditory tube opens in the nasopharynx and it also contains nasopharyngeal tonsils. Next, the oropharynx. It is the structure present behind the oral cavity and it is the middle part of the pharynx. It's clear? Oropharynx means it is the structure present behind the oral cavity. It is a part behind the mouth or oral cavity. It is a part behind the mouth or oral cavity and it is a middle part of the pharynx. So how it communicates? It communicates with the oral cavity through oropharyngeal isthmus. Oropharyngeal isthmus. And then it contains palatine tonsil. Okay. Next, the third part is the laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx means structure behind the larynx. What you are seeing here, this is the larynx here. Where I am putting cursor, the red structure, that is the larynx. The violet structure is the larynx. The structure behind the larynx, and it is the inferior part. So inferior means the lower part of the pharynx, and it communicates with the larynx through laryngeal inlet. Okay, laryngeal inlet, and then you can see the pink structure. Then it continues as esophagus. Okay, you can see in this diagram the trachea, it is in the front. It is a continuation from the larynx, whereas the esophagus is the continuation of the pharynx. Okay. Next is the esophagus. esophagus, or it is also called the food passage. Sometimes it is also called food passage. What is the length of the esophagus? The esophagus is a muscular tube and it is about 25 centimeters in length. Okay. So from where it starts? Previously we studied that the pharynx extends from where? What is the extension of pharynx? Pharynx starts from where? In the previous slides I told, yes, very good. It starts from skull to the sixth cervical vertebra. Okay. Then you should think from sixth cervical vertebra what starts? Esophagus starts from esophagus that joins the pharynx at sixth cervical vertebra, and that is it is a beginning point, the sixth cervical vertebra, and up to the 10th thoracic vertebra. So that area is called the esophagus. Esophagus joins the stomach just below the 10th thoracic vertebra. So where it joins the stomach? It joins the stomach at 10th thoracic vertebra. And greater part of the line is the thorax, while the short part lies in the abdomen. It means the large part. See this. This part is the diaphragm. The large part of the esophagus is present in the thorax, in the chest, whereas this is small. The small part, it is present in the abdomen. So how it comes in the abdomen? There is an opening in the diaphragm. Through that opening, it enters into the abdomen. That opening is called left. The opening is left crus of the diaphragm. Where it is present? The opening is called opening for esophagus. It is present in the left crus, or crus means left part of the diaphragm. So how the food goes? So when you take the food goes into the wavy movement. It goes in the wavy manner. How it goes? It goes like this. So that movement is called peristalsis. That movement is called peristalsis. Okay. By this movement, food reaches to the stomach. So what are the parts of the esophagus? Now we saw esophagus starts from where, and then we also know the major part of the esophagus. It is present in the thorax and then in the abdomen. It has three parts. So one is the cervical, the shortest part, cervical, thoracic, and the abdominal is the very short part of the esophagus. The cervical part extends from lower border of cricoid cartilage to the superior border of monobrium sterni. Okay, what you will call here? So here we will it is a sternum. It will be like this. Okay. Yes. You got the idea here now? Okay. This is the superior border. This is the superior border of the monobrium sternum. Okay. And the thoracic part from now, the thoracic part extends from the superior border of monobrium sternum to the esophageal opening. So this is not the superior border. This is wrong. Yeah. So this is the superior border of monobrium sternum, and from here it extends to the opening of the diaphragm here. This is the opening of the diaphragm. Till then, here this is the thoracic part, and then this is the abdominal part. So from where extends the opening of the esophagus, and then it reaches to the cardiac end of the stomach. So from here, so this is the from opening of the esophagus to the, this part is the stomach here. This is the stomach. Till then, this is called the abdominal part. Okay. So here, this part you just leave it. Okay. This part you don't leave it. But for your study, you just remember these things. These are very important things. For it will be helpful for your clinical studies. Okay. For anatomical point of view, what we should know, we have to know the where all the constrictions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Where is the first constriction? The first constriction is at the pharyngo-esophageal junction. So where the pharynx joins to the esophagus. So that is at the level of 6th cervical vertebra. And the second constriction, so where it is present? So this crosses the second constriction, it is crossed by arch of aorta at the level of 4th thoracic vertebra. And the third constriction, it is crossed by left principal bronchus. It is present at the level of T5 to T6. And the fourth constriction, okay, the fourth constriction, so where it pierces the diaphragm. So this is at the 10th thoracic vertebra. So here one more point, the first and the fourth. The first constriction is cervical. The fourth constriction is diaphragmatic. Whereas the second and third, so these constrictions, they are present in the thorax. Okay. So it is clear here till now. Okay. So next, the stomach. What is stomach? So again, the stomach is a muscular bag, and then it is a J-shaped structure. It is the J-shaped structure between esophagus and small intestine. So where it is present? From here, between esophagus and what part? The small intestine. So here. So from here, the small intestine starts. So this part, this is the structure between esophagus and the small intestine. So the main function is the food digestion and also mixing of food along with gastric secretions. Okay. What are the parts? So there are, I told, it extends from esophagus to small intestine. So it has two openings. So one is the opening for the esophagus, that is cardiac opening or esophageal opening of the stomach. That also they will say cardiac opening, and another one is the pyloric opening. So this is the pyloric opening. The cardiac opening joins the lower end of the esophagus here, this point. So it starts from here. Okay. The pyloric opening joins the proximal. So that is the proximal part of the duodenum. So this part is the duodenum here, and proximal part, the upper part of the duodenum. It is marked on the surface of the pyloric constriction. So just remember the openings of the stomach, okay, from where they starts. Now the curvatures. What are the curvatures? This is the lesser curvature, and this is the greater curvature of the stomach. What are the curvatures? Lesser curvature and the greater curvature. And what structure is present in the lesser curvature? Lesser curvature, it connects with lesser omentum. So what structure attaches there? Lesser curvature, lesser omentum. Greater curvature, greater omentum. These two structures are okay. In the lesser curvature, it is so there is a most dependent part here, this area. This dependent part is called incisular angularis. Dependent part means it is very narrow part. So this you will see in the next picture, and also when I will show you the video of the practical, there it is more clear, you can easily make out. Okay. The greater curvature, what structures? Greater omentum, gastrosplenic and gastrophrenic ligaments. Okay. Next, the anterior and posterior surfaces. Now, what are the parts of the stomach? The stomach has the fundus. This is the fundus, and then this is the body, and then this part. This part is the pyloric antrum, and here you have pyloric canal. Okay, and then the cardiac notch. So where is the cardiac notch? The cardiac notch is here. This one, this part. So here it is a cardiac notch. It is a junction between where the esophagus comes and joins to the stomach. That junction is called cardiac notch. It's between the fundus of the stomach and the esophagus. Okay. Angular incisaris. So this is the angular incisaris. There I told, so where the body of the stomach and the pylorus starts, the most narrow part. So it's clear here about the parts. Next comes the small intestine. So what all we studied? The oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, and then after the stomach we have the intestines. So that is small and large intestines. The small intestine, it is the largest part of the alimentary canal. So what is alimentary canal? The digestive systems. So in the older term, or sometimes this term also, it is the alimentary canal. So it extends from where? It extends from the pylorus of the stomach to the ileocecal junction. So from where it extends? At the pylorus, the stomach ends. It is the end of the stomach. After the pylorus, it is called the intestine, the small intestine. This small intestine, it has a peritoneal layer called mesentery. So how it is connected? It is connected by peritoneum, that is called mesentery. What are the three parts? It has the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. What is duodenum? Duodenum is a C-shaped around the head of the pancreas. It is a C-shaped structure. This one, this is the C-shaped structure around the head of the pancreas. And it receives the opening of the bile duct and pancreatic duct. Okay, this also I will show you. So these are the two openings present in the duodenum. And the jejunum is the upper 2/5 part of the small intestine. So where it is wide and thick wall. So it has a wide part and the walls are thick. Whereas the ileum is the lower part of the intestine. So where it is, it has a thin wall and paler than the jejunum. So the color of the ileum is the pale in color. Okay. See this structure here. So what I show him, where the pointer I am keeping, this is the small intestine. Okay. How the small intestine is connected? So it is connected by the peritoneum. This yellow structure is called mesentery. Okay. Uh, Give me some 2 minutes. Just 2-3 minutes break I will take. Okay. One. Okay, we'll start. All are there? Hello? Yes. Okay. Okay. So what I told, now you see this in this structure where I am putting the cursor. So this part is the small intestine, and then the yellow, the thin sheet like structure. This is the connection. How these tubes are connected. That structure is called mesentery. And this is the peritoneal structure called mesentery. Okay, see here. And again, the three parts. So one is the duodenum, jejunum, and this is the thick wall, and so it is a large part. What happens here? So how it is coming here? See, then jejunum and the ileum is the small part, ileum. This small part comes and joins with the large intestine. It is joining here. Can you see this? This junction. So where the ileum comes and joins, this junction is called ileocecal junction. Okay. And next. So where in the duodenum, what I told? So there is a duct. So where the opening. So these are the one is, this is the where I am putting the cursor. This is the pancreatic duct, and this one. This is the bile duct. These two joins and opens into the duodenum. Okay. Next. So just know all these differences. So all the few things, the extension, diameter, the mu, and these things we already discussed. The mucosa means foldings, the inside. So when you make a section in the jejunum, you will see a large number of circular folds. Okay. With the help of these circular folds, the food goes on moving forward. Whereas in the ileum, these folds are smaller. Whereas in the jejunum, the lymphatics are very few. And in the ileum, how to identify the ileum? In the ileum, you will see the large number of lymphatic follicles. These follicles, they are called the Peyer's patches. In which part of the, so which part of the intestine you will see the Peyer's patches? It is the ileum. Okay. Next is the large intestine. Now you got the difference. The structure what you are seeing, this is the large intestine. And the structure what you have seen already in the previous slide. So that is a small intestine. So what difference can you make out? How it was? Is there any difference between these two pictures? The small intestine, it is a tube-like structure. Okay. See here. Here also there is a picture. The small intestine, it is a plain tube-like structure. Okay. Whereas the large intestine, can you see this pouch-like structure? It is the pouch-like structure, and in the center there is a one strap. Okay. This strap is also there. So it is not the plain tube-like. So it is having the small pouches. You got the difference. This is how, this is just the common identification feature of the intestine. Differentiate small and large intestine. Okay. Next, this large intestine further divides into parts. So one is, it begins from the cecum. Here, this is the cecum, and then ascending colon. This part, this is the ascending colon. Here, this part is the cecum, and then the transverse colon here, like this. This is the transverse colon. Next comes the descending colon. It is the descending colon. Next is the sigmoid colon. This part. These are the parts of the large intestine. Okay. So where the cecum is present? What is this cecum? It is a blind-ended pouch. So it's a pouch-like structure and connected to the ileum by ileocecal junction that I already told you. So where here, now here the small intestine comes like this, the small intestine like this. This junction is called ileocecal junction, and it also has a small worm-like structure. It is called appendix, or it is also called vermiform appendix. Okay. Next is the ascending colon. From above the cecum, the upper part, it is called the ascending colon. Goes upwards, extends from cecum below. Cecum is below, and to the right colic flexure till here. Now here, this part, till the right colic flexure. And the transverse colon, it is the extension between the right colic flexure and the left colic flexure. Okay. Then the descending colon extends downwards. It comes downwards from left colic flexure to the pelvic brim. So pelvic brim means so upper part of the pelvis. So that part is called the descending colon. So where it becomes the pelvic brim somewhere here. So from here it continues as a sigmoid colon. So it is a S-shaped structure that is called sigmoid colon. So next is the sigmoid colon here. So from where it begins, continues and descending, begins from the descending colon above and the rectum below. It is a part between the descending colon and the rectum. So this part is called sigmoid colon. And the rectum, so where the fecal material stores. In the rectum, the fecal material will stores here. Long, it extends from sigmoid colon at the third sacral vertebra. See here. So from where to where the rectum is extended? The extension of the rectum is from third sacral vertebra and to the tip of the coccyx bone. And then the outer part, it is called, passes down and backwards from rectum to the anus. So that is the external part of the, it has sphincters. So sphincters means, so it is a small blocks. Next, so these are the differences how you can make out the small intestine and the large intestine. So all these are just now we have discussed. Now you see that foldings, okay, saculations or castrations. So these saculations, they are not present in the small intestine, whereas they are present in large intestine. Okay, I showed in the picture. So that pouch-like structure, they are called saculations or castrations. Okay, the mucosa in the small intestine, it's permanent circular folds, presence of villi. So here, these small intestine folds, they are permanent, whereas in the large intestine, the folds are absent by distension. So distension means, so when the large intestine enlarges, so when the large intestine enlarges, the folds of the mucosa, it will go off and there will be no villi. There is no villi. So villi means the finger-like projections. You might have studied in the histology. Okay. No aggregated lymphoid follicles. And here in the small intestine, you have solitary lymphatic follicles. And you also find the aggregations. Okay. Next is the liver. Liver is the largest gland in the body and it is wedge shaped and it has the four pyramidal structure. So it is like a four-sided pyramid and weighs above 1.5 kgs. Where it is present? It is present in the right hypochondrium, epigastric and left hypochondrium. So this is an area. So when that I will show you in the lab practical session. Okay. The liver has anteriorly and superiorly. The liver is divided by right and left lobes by falciform ligament. So liver is divided by right and left lobes by falciform ligament. Whereas inferiorly it is divided by fissure from ligamentum teres. Whereas posteriorly it is divided by fissure for ligamentum venosum. So all these ligaments, they divides the liver into right and left lobes. Okay. So at different level you have different ligament. The liver has the surfaces. So one is there are two surfaces in the liver. These two further divided into subdivisions. So what are the two surfaces? One is the diaphragmatic surface and another one is the visceral surface. All these three, the right lateral, superior and anterior, all these three surface joins to form diaphragmatic surface. Whereas the posterior surface, it forms and the inferior surface together called the visceral surface. So these are the functions, just you know it is good. So otherwise no problem. Next about the visceral surface. So this behind this you will see the diaphragmatic surface. So just remember So there are two surfaces. One is the diaphragmatic surface, where it is related to the diaphragm, and the visceral surface, what you are seeing now in the picture, is the viscerals. Viscera means what are the structures related to the liver. So what they are? The structures are gastric and pyloric area. So gastric and pyloric area means the stomach is related, and duodenal area. So duodenal area means duodenum related. Which part of the duodenum is related? The superior part of the duodenum is related there, and it is related to lesser omentum, and this green structure what you are seeing, this part is the gall bladder. Gallbladder is also related to the liver. Okay, and the colon, large intestine. So which part of the large intestine? That is the right colic flexure, right transverse area, and renal area. Renal area means the kidney area. The kidney is also related. Which kidney? The right kidney and the suprarenal gland. Now this yellow block, square like structure what I am showing here. So this part is the hilum of the liver, where the structures enters and goes outside. So as we studied in the lungs. What is the blood supply? The blood supply of the liver is by portal vein and the hepatic artery. Okay. So it's clear here. Any doubts till now? Okay. So we'll go. Next is the biliary system. So where the structure in the previous diagram what I showed, that structure is the gallbladder. So that the study of the gallbladder is called the biliary system. Where it is present? This gallbladder, it is present on the inferior surface of the liver. So where it is present? It is present on the inferior surface of the liver, and it is a pear shaped sac. Sac means a bag. Sac means a bag on the inferior surface of the liver, and where that area is called the gallbladder fossa. Where the gallbladder is present? It is present in the gallbladder fossa. Its capacity is 30 to 60 ml. What is its function? Its function is storage and concentrated bile. So it stores a concentrated bile by absorbing of water. Okay. So what are the parts here? Parts of the gallbladder. Parts of the gallbladder, it has the fundus, body, neck, and the cystic duct. These are the parts of the gallbladder. Next, the excretory part of the biliary system. So how the duct system is present, or excretory part, the what structure goes outside, outer part of the biliary system. Now you remember here. So before going all this description, here I will tell how the duct system is formed. So there are two ducts coming from the liver. Okay. So these two ducts, they are called hepatic duct. Okay. So these two ducts, they join to form what? Common hepatic duct. So these two are the hepatic. So it is clear here. So there are two hepatic ducts. These two hepatic ducts join to form common hepatic duct. Okay. Then what happens? There is one another structure coming from the gallbladder. What is that structure? That structure is called the cystic. From where it comes? It comes from the gallbladder. This cystic duct and the common hepatic duct, they join to form what structure? The common bile duct. It is clear here. Is there any confusion in this? Is there any confusion by understanding this? Okay. Then where it opens? After forming a common bile duct, it opens into the second part of the duodenum. It opens into the second part of the duodenum here. Okay. So now I will read. Two hepatic ducts from right and left lobe of the liver unites to form common bile duct. See here. The two hepatic ducts from where coming? They are coming from the liver to join common hepatic duct. Okay. The common bile duct. How this common bile duct forms? Unites the common hepatic duct and the cystic duct join to form the common bile duct. And then it opens into the second part of the duodenum. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. Next, the pancreas. The pancreas is an enlarged, lobulated, soft gland. So, the enlarged, lobulated, see this yellow structure. This yellow structure, what you are seeing, this is the pancreas. So, it crosses the posterior abdominal wall. So, from where it crosses? It crosses the posterior abdominal wall from duodenum on right side. This is the duodenum on right side and the spleen on the left side. Where it is present? It is present between the duodenum and the spleen here. So the same thing. Yes, very good. So it is a structure which is responsible for insulin. So it has both type of functions. Okay. But again, in detail you will study in the biology. So here we will tell on the anatomical part. The head of the pancreas, it lies in the C-shaped cavity of the duodenum. C-shaped cavity of the duodenum. Okay. C-shaped cavity of the second part of the duodenum. Whereas the tail ends. So how it connects? The tail lies in the layers of splenorenal ligaments, comes into direct relation with the hilum of the spleen. So it means there is a ligament attached to the tail of the pancreas that is called splenorenal ligament at the hilum of the spleen. Okay, and where the main pancreatic duct joins with the bile duct. See here, there is another duct coming from the pancreas. This in yellow like structure. This is called the pancreatic duct, and this green color structure that is called the bile duct. These two structure joins and opens into the duodenum. Where which part? The second part of the duodenum. That area is called ampulla of Werr. That area is called ampulla of Werr. Okay. Here, so this is more about the physiological part. Just you revise. So what exocrine part secretes? What are the endocrine? So the pancreas is an exocrine and endocrine in function. The exocrine part, it secretes proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and the endocrine part, it's a, just now someone told, that is the insulin. So this point, it's remember where, in which area you find the islets of Langerhans. So these islets of Langerhans, so these are the cells which helps in the production of insulin. Okay. So these are the some clinical features of digestive system. So any doubts in this till now? Anything you didn't understood? We can revise. Or if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So I will once again I will revise for you. So if you know, if there is no doubts, shall we stop the session? Okay. So we'll leave the session and we'll join by 9:30. Okay. 9:30 in the practical session.